Welcome back. There was a fantastic spectacle in Tel Aviv last night with the first Eurovision Song Contest semi-final in Israel. 10 countries made it through to Saturday's grand final, including Iceland's bondage-themed act. Lottie Bellin brings us the highlights.
After almost a year of preparation, the 2019 Eurovision Song Contest has kicked off. 17 contestants became 10 at Eurovision's first semi-final in Tel Aviv. The Czech Republic, Greece, Serbia, Cyprus, Estonia, Australia, San Marino and Slovenia made it into the final. Tel Aviv's streets flooded with dedicated fans from around the world.
Iceland has the best song this year.
Yeah.
Neither of us is from Iceland, but we love the song, so our message to Europe is Hatred mun sigla!
And with Israeli fans too. One family from Israel's south were gifted with Eurovision tickets, with the hope of easing the distress of rocket fire falling on their hometown earlier this month.
It's a bit imaginary because last week we were in the shelter and now we're here, but this is Israel, I guess.
A handful of demonstrators gathered on Tel Aviv streets to protest this year's Eurovision Song Contest, sounding a beat of discontent about Israel hosting this year's competition.
If Europe is coming here to tell them, you know where you are, right? You know what's happening here, right?
Iceland's Hatari are the most talked about. Hatari have found themselves in the spotlight recently, sparking controversy in Israel by initially vowing to use the Eurovision spotlight to expose the, quote, face of the occupation. But at the press conference after the Eurovision semi-final, Hatari delivered a message of hope.
We need to unite, need to remember to love, need to find a way for peace.
The Netherlands, Sweden, Australia, Russia and France are top 5 according to the bookkeepers. But with the second semi-final on Thursday the 16th of May and the grand final on the 18th of May, anything can happen.
Now, that competition is, of course, underway here in Tel Aviv, and the US Embassy in Israel has issued a security alert, fearing certain groups may use the Nakba Day today to conduct violent protests or launch an attack. The embassy's been telling people to monitor US media outlets and also to avoid demonstrations. So far, the event's been peaceful, with successful musical performances and a very popular food market set up. And for more on Eurovision, let's now go to Mickey Rosenfeld, who's Israel's international police spokesperson in Tel Aviv. Mickey, thanks so much. The contest's been underway now since Sunday. Tell me, have there been any notable incidents to report or just sort of minor misdemeanors? Tell me, how are people behaving so far?
As far as the Israeli National Police are concerned, our units have been patrolling the different areas and have responded to no major incidents that have taken place until now. And that's due to the fact that there are large numbers of police officers both at the Expo, where the main event is taking place later on during this week, over the weekend, and of course towards the beachfront area where security measures are being carried out, of course, throughout the day. I can also add and tell you that we're working together, both units on the ground, as well as police patrol boats on the sea and police helicopters that are covering the different areas to make sure that the tourists and the 41 delegations are safe.
And Mickey, we did hear a number of threats from different Palestinian groups saying that they were thinking about targeting the song contest. How have you dealt with those threats?
Well, there's no specific warnings that we've received until now, but of course our units are located in key points and key areas in order to try and find potential suspects that could be walking around the different areas. We're carrying out profiling, of course, looking for suspects. But there are a huge number of police officers, both in regular...
OK, Mickey Rosenfeld in Tel Aviv, thank you so much for the update. Madonna's Eurovision Song Contest final performance was up in the air after organisers admitted that she had yet to sign a contract. However, the Queen of Pop landed in Tel Aviv, Israel, late last night and headed straight to rehearsal, basically confirming that she'll be the final interval act. Madge was pictured disembarking a private plane in Tel Aviv on Tuesday night as the first Eurovision semi-final took place at Expo Tel Aviv. And the 61-year-old teased her grand performance on Instagram without mentioning Eurovision, of course, because that would be telling. And let's go now to our correspondent, Sarah Williamson in Tel Aviv. Sarah, everyone's been trying to get a glimpse of superstar Madonna today. She seemed to be pretty evasive so far. Do we know what she's been up to all day and what she's doing tonight?
That's right, Sarah. There's been media surrounding her hotel today just trying to get a glimpse of the superstar. We did happen to get one, though, as she was sneaking out in her car to go straight to her rehearsals. We do know, as you said, she's been posting it on Instagram today. She's been rehearsing from the minute she got up this morning till the minute, even right now, I can imagine. Although we do know she did have time to sneak in a lunch with Sylvan Adams. Those are the reports that we're hearing, unconfirmed reports, of course. But I could imagine that she did go for that breakfast, and we know that she's going to be having pretty much a pretty solid amount of rehearsals coming up to Shabbat, which is the Sabbath, the Jewish Sabbath here in Israel on Friday night. From then on in, she's going to be spending Friday evening and Saturday afternoon all day just relaxing and taking some downtime before the big night on Saturday, where she's going to be performing her hit song Like a Prayer and a new song off her new album.
OK, Sarah, sounds perfect. And it looks like a lot of people gathering there behind you. Looks like a really, really fun night. Tell me, what are you hearing from tourists who've come to Tel Aviv for Eurovision? Just very briefly.
Look, Sarah, we have had tourists from all over the world that we've spoken to tonight. We've even spoken to people from India. Now, they don't even perform in Eurovision, but they were just so excited by the contest. And as such, Eurovision superfans, that they made the trip the whole way here. Now, when I spoke to them about how they love being in Israel and how they find Tel Aviv, they had absolutely nothing bad to say. It's been all positive vibes here from the tourists. The security threats, anything like that has not bothered them. They're just here for the good times, the fun, the food and the amazing weather. This is what people are all about here, and it's an amazing vibe here tonight in the Eurovision Village. Sounds perfect. Sarah Williamson, thank you so much for the update. Now to the failed moon landing of the Israeli craft, the Bereshit, and NASA has publicly released an image today, it says, of the crash site of the spacecraft. Now, the picture, which is black and white, you can see it on your screen now, shows a dark patch which is around 10 metres wide where the impact happened. Now, Israel was hoping to become just the 4th country to land on the moon before it came crashing into the lunar surface just last month. Work on Bereshit 2.0 is already underway. Now, the Igbo are one of Nigeria's largest ethnic groups. Among them is a minority of practising Jews that claim to be the descendants of a lost tribe of Israel, but the Jewish state doesn't recognise them. I24 News correspondent Eleanor Lalo travelled there to meet the community.
This is Nigeria, the 7th most populated country in the world. And every day within this dizzying frenzy, thousands stop what they're doing for Mincha, the traditional Jewish afternoon prayer. This community of Nigerian Jews belongs to the country's 3rd ethnic group, the Igbo. They claim to be descendants of a lost tribe of Israel, and today observe religious practices very similar to rabbinical Judaism, although it's not always easy.
You cook food on Shabbat, you preserve it to make it warm, you can put in a continuous burning stove and set it. Okay, in this place, I have the burning stove to set. When you set it, you put it on. Maybe after 3 hours, the electricity is gone. And it's not coming back again. So what do you do to the food? And you'll be praying to Hashem, please, the food should be okay till tomorrow. 2 years ago, some people came from Israel to teach us to do shochet and to sharpen knife. So that's when we started eating chicken. We can eat chicken now, but before it was fish we eat.
We don't have mikveh. We can save water from the rain, put a big pan under the rain and let the water go into the pan, then store it into a gallon. That after you're there, you just, bathe with hot water, very hot water.
Every morning I woke up, with Modéani, prayer. Then I wash my hands and my face.
When we started, it's like a difficult thing for us, but we had to adjust. We know the importance of not touching your phone, not making calls, internet. This kind of modern age is very difficult for us, we young people, to go without technology. So we try our best, and we're good with it. We are doing it.
The rules of halakha, Jewish religious laws, are taught from a very young age. And today at school, it's pop quiz time.
How many symbolically is on that suggestion? 6. Name them.
While some are ready to leave everything behind for Israel, and others live very happily here in Nigeria, one dream unites them all: to one day set foot in the Promised Land.
I was so long for Zion, for the sake of the mitzvot, and for the sake of the holiness. And for this, we cannot stop yearning to live in Zion to perform Avodat Hashem there, according to the prescriptions.
We desire to be there. If there's no opportunity, but we want at least to be going there once in a while, until it's time.
I would like to be going, like during festival season, like during Pesach, Sukkot, all this season. I like to go to the Holy Land and come back to Nigeria, because I have some investment here. I have investment here. You understand? Panasa.
Over a dozen rabbis, researchers, and journalists have come here to meet Nigeria's Jews to discover and evaluate their religious practices, but also to bring them books and knowledge.
As we continue to quest about our roots, some Israelis start to come to Nigeria also to investigate this. And while they come, some of them come with talitot, and some of them come with sudorim. And from this, we started to learn to wear the kippot, to dress properly, to wash our hands.
Being Jewish in Nigeria is very, very difficult, very, very hard, because every day you are persecuted, every day you are faced with 10 opposition. They don't want you even to mention the word Jewish. But here, we have this difficulty. Still, we are progressing. We're making an effort to serve Hashem, even in these difficult times.
So is Nigeria's Igbo community Jewish or not? Israel has yet to dissect the question. Until then, the key word is hope.
And that is all we have time for this edition of I-24 News. But we are continuing to bring you all of the breaking stories. So do go ahead and visit us online. That's i24news.tv. And we're carrying all of those stories on all of our social media platforms. I'm Sarah Coates. Thanks for watching.